I saw this clip this morning and I thought surely it's out of context, and it's not. I have the transcript here where he says, why don't we just start eating babies? We've got all this extra baby parts, millions we kill every year. Why don't we just eat them? So that's the next evolution, and you will eat the bugs as you will eat the dead babies. The example I often use is if we want to get to ethical bedrock, we should be able to say things like, why can't we eat babies? There are sometimes extra babies in the world. They're full of protein. Can't we eat them? It's not a conversation about eating babies. It's a conversation about how you can close the door to this idea that we both recognize as repellent and, well, we recognize that it's the way. There are people out there who will say, hey, Sam Harris is a guy who wonders, can we eat babies? But isn't that what this whole system is? It's a system where we don't value others around us. We don't value ourselves, and we don't stand up for others. Nobody stands up for us. And then we're isolated, atomized, alone individuals that this predatory system can have its way with. And that's what the New World Order is setting up. Here's a short clip of a Sam Harris on the Young Turds talking about eating the babies.
You know, why can't we eat babies? What's wrong with eating babies? If we've got extra babies around that nobody wants, why can't we eat?
And then he goes on, as I read you the full quote.
It's amazing.
Extra babies. Remember when I said on Joe Rogan like 4 years ago? The governor of Virginia at the time said, we're going to get rid of the baby after they're born. And I made the satirical line that, why are we wasting 7 pounds of meat? But they are using every part of the baby for medical experiments and the medical industry. And when we allow ourselves to be defiled and degraded like that, or made in the image of God, we allow these sick abortionists to do horrible things to the dead and dying babies even after they're out of the womb. We all die inside.
There's so many things I like about this clip, which Andy found us earlier today. One of them is, I mean, because there are layers here. There's Sam Harris being asinine, and there's Alex Jones just being like just delightfully over the top, insanely slanderous in how he's presented the already asinine thing that Sam Harris is actually saying. Like man, he did not give us more than 5 seconds of that clip.
Yeah, that's it almost makes me love Alex Jones more to do something like that. It's like if we were having a discussion and I was like, hey, let's say I did 9/11, and he just cut that out. He's like, look at what this guy said. He said he wanted.
He said he did 9/11.
He said it.
I may just never come back.
Man, Ben busting out the Alex Jones impression. Maybe you just got to go real hoarse, because everyone's impression of Alex Jones is better than I expect. But whenever anyone impersonates Alex Jones, I'm like, that sounds exactly like him. Is he in the room with me? But in that same clip, well, maybe you're about to get to this, Ben, but it seems like he does the same exact thing that Sam Harris does when he harkens back to his joke, where he says, like, why didn't we just use the whole baby, right? Isn't the whole point? Aren't they doing the same thing there?
No,
or are we about to...
pretty much the same thing? Like the context of this, and it's also really funny because it's like, well, here's Sam Harris on the Young Turks, and it's
10 years ago.
Yeah, it's like it's like 10 years ago. Two, what he's showing a clip from is a debate, right? I mean, he's there to argue with Jen Cougar, the host, and obviously Alex Jones can't show you any of Jeg's part, because then that might put this like awful lefty in a good light, right? That like is disagreeing with Sam Harris, and, about this stuff. Yeah. And 3, as the quote that he read before he played that hilariously decontextualized clip makes clear.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm not going to say a lot of nice things about Sam Harris. I'm very critical of the guy, but like, I'll say this much. I don't actually think he advocates eating babies. If
he did, I would listen to his Making Sense podcast. I'd be like, well, what's Sammy up to lately? Yeah. How are you going to get yourself out of this one, Sammy?
Well, this goes far back. I mean, he's just in the the philosophical tradition of Jonathan Swift, right? With the modest proposal, which was a sincere a sincere demand that we should eat babies, right? So it's
Absolutely.
really it's an honorable lineage.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
Janos
exactly.
in the chat says, was Harris attempting some Swiftian thing, or was he doing one of his classic capital T, capital E thought experiments?
That's the phrase I was looking for. Thought experiment. He was doing a thought experiment.
And
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly the thing. I mean, it's like he's sort of trying to do both. Like the context, I mean, look, it's been a long time since I've watched the original, but I'm 99% sure that the actual context here is they're arguing about Islam, and and Jeg's an atheist, but he's not, like Islam is incredibly dangerous guy, like Sam Harris certainly, spent the war on terror years being, and presumably still is, and probably Jeg brought up the infamous nuclear thought experiment from the end of Sam Harris's book, The End of Faith, where where Harris makes this bizarre, like he says, he is willing to embrace the Thanos position more or less, that kind of extreme utilitarianism. He says, well, if a country that was run by religious fanatics got a hold of, he doesn't say Iran, but it kind of seems like he means Iran, got a hold of nukes, then it might be justified to do a first strike to against that country to stop from using them. Insane, evil thing to say. Harris's defense against this, against people being mad about it, is to do what PZ Myers calls the Harris shuffle, where he's like, well, see, you're taking me out of context. There's a like actually, this is misrepresenting me, whatever, which is hilarious because like he also over the weekend he finally responded to Nathan Robinson's like long article about him by saying, well, Nathan's clearly just crazy because he's writing such a long article devoted to him. He must just be obsessed. And it's like, okay, well, if you spend the 10,000 words to actually break down everything that you exactly said, then you're just crazy, right? But otherwise, you're misrepresenting him. That's the game. That's the Harris shuffle. So he's doing that, and so Harris is saying about that, about some of the positions he took in those heady post 9/11 years about torture and profiling. That you're misunderstanding me. I'm not really, if you're this mad at what I said, I must not have meant it. And what I actually, all I'm really doing is, he said, I'm displaying a philosopher's love of edge cases. We need to be able to consider extreme examples to as thought experiments.
I found that works in relationships too, where you just say like, honey, if that's what you think I said and you're that upset, there's no way I said it, right? And then they usually understand. It was a thought experiment. That usually works.
You just surround her with gaslit. And,
So Sam is basically gaslighting an entire audience. Kind of subtle. Yeah. So sorry.
Yeah. And it's like, the thing is, like, this is not all what thought experiment means, right? If you read like Michael Brooks's book Against the Web, he's got this long Harris chapter on there. I don't remember the version of it that actually made it into the chapter, but I remember the when he was working on the chapter, helping with the book, the verbal version of the point that was like a lot crasser than the one that made it into the book was something like, it's like, look, this is like if I said, hey, I might have to kill you and bang your wife, and said like, hey, no, don't get upset. It's just a thought experiment. It's like, I'm just saying this is a thing I might have to do. Like, it's like, no, that's literally not what a thought experiment means, right? A thought experiment, it's like you're talking about a hypothetical situation you don't actually expect to come up that's supposed to prove something one way or the other about some general principle. That would be an example of a thought experiment, right? This isn't a thought experiment. This is just advocating something that you later get embarrassed about advocating. So Harris is being ridiculous here, but his attempt at damage control when he's talking to Jeg is to say that yeah. Fair enough. His attempt when he's talking to Jeg, his attempt at damage control is to say, well, look, I mean, I could, I could just be making a point, and he's sort of mangling his thought experiment at defense and mashing it together with Jonathan Swift's modest proposal. Like, I think that's what's actually going on in that clip. So it's like Harris is being ridiculous, but also just the brazenness of clipping like 2.5 seconds of that and said, see, he said he wants to eat babies. New World Order.
Oh my God.
Again, accurate. It reminds me of the Sark quote. It's I think people quote it a lot these days, but how, anti-Semites they're completely aware of the absurdity of their replies. They know their remarks are frivolous, but they are amusing themselves for as their adversary who is obliged to use words responsibly. I feel like he was 100% amusing himself. I don't believe that he believed that in a second. I believe it was like that fascist tendency of just, we can just say whatever the fuck we want. Because it's delighting in bad faith. I feel like
absolutely
he knows.
Did y'all read any of the leaked text messages from Alex Jones?
A little bit.
Oh my God. I mean, it's like a lot of that stuff is obvious confirmation that he's, obviously whatever, that he's all, it's all an act and all that stuff. But his personal life is fascinating. Like, it's a layup for like a Netflix special or whatever. But like, there's one part where it's talking about how he got pulled over by the cops for drunk driving, and he told the cops that like something like he drank a whole bottle of sake, but he didn't want to walk home or something like that. It's just like nonstop stuff like that. Like, his personal life is hilarious. Like, he's just in the suburbs of Austin, Texas, like acting like a lunatic nonstop. It's hilarious.
Nice.
Yeah. We need this. We need the series on him and the Tim Pool compound as well.
Yes.
We gotta put something together on that. But I heard it's such a treasure trove that like it's like 6 hours of content from one of the ex compound members. That
it's just the most amazing dude to have a compound.
Yeah, he's definitely like he's a funny little sort of like small business tyrant example of what happens when somebody who's like totally immature like gets financial power over people. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's so, and you could see it like in the when he does like his live show, you could just see it that he marches around. Hey, you shut up, like he's the king of the castle over there. It's so obnoxious. It's so obnoxious. It's like his attitude in general is to me like an example of why people shouldn't have that kind of financial power over other people. You know what I mean?
You have been watching free public content from Give Them an Argument. To access every single episode of the show, the main show on Monday nights, all of the streams, all of the debate breakdowns, all of the patron-exclusive postgames on Monday nights, all of the patron-exclusive bonus episodes every week, and much, much more, go to patreon.com/Ben Burgis. I cannot resist ending this with, don't be foolish.